Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome all in the seventh session of this 14 Masumeen, knowing Masumeen. We reached a milestone today. We completed 50% of the session, which was originally planned for 14, and today is the seventh session. A great effort and a lot of thanks to Brother Mustajab for preparing all these material and information. It's really very difficult to tailor the information for the audience especially when their audience is children. So let's start the program with a loud salawat, and I will invite Ali Mujtaba to please come on mic and do the recitation. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت إليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Thank you, Ali. And now I would like to invite Brother Mustajab to start his presentation on Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. Over to you, Mustajab.
I'm just trying to get the screen to share, so just give me one time. Till then, I would request everyone to do a loud salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Perfect, it's working.
Yeah? Yeah, all right. Yes. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and welcome to the seventh session. Thank you, Brother Abbas. Thank you for trying and organizing all of these sessions, and may Allah bless you and give you the rewards. Today's session is Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam. He was the fifth Imam for the 12 Shia Muslims. So I'm going to start with the life, and I've got a few settings changed, so bear with me. Imam was born in the city of Medina, and he was born in 57 Hijri. He was the son of Imam Zainul Abidin. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the session we did last time, which was Imam Zainul Abidin, also known as Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, also known as Imam Ali bin Hussein alayhi salam. His name was Ali as well. So that is the life. So he was part of Ashura. He was part of the events of Karbala. He was with his father. And he was age about 3-year-old. He was taken captive. He went through the family and the tragedy, and he was well across the events and the condition of the Muslim Ummah. So I'll start with couple of names. So his kunya was Abu Jaffer, and the reason I'm telling Abu Jaffer here is there are a lot of ahadiths when we read in the books of ahadiths that there are hadiths narrated from Abu Jaffer, which is Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam. Imam Baqir has done a huge favor to us in introducing the sciences that the world knows today, and that was that he laid the foundation of those lessons and universities which later on flourished during his son Imam Jaffer Sadiq alayhi salam. So we know him by these names. Other names are Baqir al-Ulum. He was one of the most smartest men of his time. So his mother was Abdullah, who was the daughter of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. So he was the first Imam whose mother and father, his mother and his father, they are both from the family of the Prophet. So we'll proceed with this, a brief look into the life of Imam Bakr alayhi salam. And I just told you guys this. He died in 114 Hijri, and he was buried in the famous graveyard of Baqi. May Allah give us the chance to visit Baqi, and may Allah put his blessings to the people who endeavor for the rebuild of the Baqi, for it's a great place for our ancestors there. The Imam, the period of his Imamat was 18 years. So he was an Imam for 18 years, an active Imam. What did, like before, the proof of his Imama, why is he is the Imam? And obviously in the past, there are a lot of others who have claimed Imamat. So that's why what I do is I bring about proofs, and all Imam announced the coming of the following Imams. So like the Imams prior, Imam Ali bin Hussein, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, said it. So this is written in Kifayat al-Athar, that Ali bin al-Hussein said in his will to his son, Muhammad bin Ali, which is, so Imam Bakr's name was Muhammad, that my son, I have chosen you as my successor after me. No one would claim what lies between you and me. And if so, Allah would suspend a yoke of fire on his neck on the day of resurrection. So if anyone lies that Imam Bakr is not the Imam of someone else claims the Imamat, Imam Zainul Abidin said there will be a yoke of fire on the day of resurrection. You know how the yoke is yellow in the center around his neck. So going forward to what did the Prophet say? So Prophet said to Jabir bin Abdullah Ansari, and we have heard a lot of things being narrated from Jabir bin Abdullah Ansari. He said to him, soon you will be seeing a man from my household. His name will be my name. So Prophet is saying that you will see someone from my family and his name will be just my name, which is Muhammad. His name will be my name. His features will resemble mine, which means the features of the face, how your nose are, how your eyes are, your lips are, these are distinguishable features, will be mine. And he will cleave the knowledge deeply. So that's why the Imam. So Jabir was also able to pass the greetings of the Prophet to Imam Bakr alayhi salam, and he lived from the time he was a companion during the time of Prophet Muhammad until all the way up till Imam Bakr alayhi salam. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and this is a very similar narration. O Jabir, a boy will be born to my son Al-Hussein, who shall be called Ali. And when judgment day pass, a caller will announce, let the master worshipper rise, and Ali bin Hussein will rise. And then from Ali, a son will be born by the name of Muhammad. O Jabir, when you see him, convey my greetings to him, and know that your lifespan after him will be short. So Prophet actually told Jabir that when you see Muhammad, son of Ali, which is Ali bin Hussein, your life will be short after that, and convey my greetings. He did it. So Imam Jaffer Sadiq alayhi salam said about his father, he said, my father was one who remembered Allah a lot. When I walked with him, he would be constant remembrance of Allah. So the reason I'm telling you guys this, see how Imam is telling how the Imam was. When he walked, he remembered Allah. When he ate food, he remembered Allah. So when we eat food, we have to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We should be thankful to Allah. There are people right now in the world who don't have food. See the situation in Gaza and other places. It's so severe that we have to remember that Allah gave us food. We should be thankful to him. We should be in constant remembrance of Allah. He would be speaking to people that did not preoccupy him from remembering Allah. So when we engage with people, the Imam did not forget about remembering Allah. His primary aim for us is to worship Allah. So I would notice his tongue stick to his palate, uttering, there is no God but Allah. And we have to say all of these words, right? So these are things that we can learn and do it instead of thinking about bad things. This is a good example by the Imam that we can do is repeat these words, right? And he would read the Quran. And it is also narrated that he had a very beautiful voice. When he did the tilawat of the Quran, people in the city of Medina knew about his voice. Couple of things very quickly. The caliphs. so as they are called caliphs by other people, or the rulers, because predominantly caliph is someone who is to be only assigned by Allah, and the real caliphs in this world, the khalifa as we call them, are the imams. So it is the right of the imams, the house of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it is chosen by Allah only. Because for us, if we choose someone, we will choose someone like, there is no person on earth they can claim other than the 14 Masumeen that they are a Masum. Hence, they will never pick a person as just. So people are not to select caliphs, but during the rulership of these, it was Walid, Suleiman, Umar bin Abdul Aziz, Yazid bin Abdul Malik, Hisham bin Abdul Malik. Now, the reason I'm telling you these names is we have to know, it helps you aid and understand history. All of these leaders, the rulers of the Muslim Ummah, they were unjust and bad towards the family of the Prophet, with the exception of Umar bin Abdul Aziz. So Umar bin Abdul Aziz, we considered his rule to be illegitimate. As I said, it is the Imam's right to do it, but he did some good things during his times, and I'll briefly explain some of them. So understand what the condition was and how he stood out among all the other bad caliphs that they were doing. So the students of Imam Bakr alayhi salams. So the Imam Bakr educated many prominent students. As we hear the narration of the chain, go and meet some of these guys. And we'll see some of the stories from them. But among prominent personalities were Muhammad ibn Muslim, then Zurra ibn Ayn, Abu Basir, Burad, Jabir ibn Yazid, and Hamran ibn Ayan, and Hisham ibn Salim. So I've got the names of these guys. So when you hear these, and if we hear hadiths and they are from these students, they are most likely to be authenticated. Other people could have forced it, but there is a strong chain that follows. So Imam Bakr was also called the splitter of knowledge and the opener of the doors of learning. And I have told that, but it's similar tradition. He said he will open the doors of knowledge to the people, and indeed Imam did open the doors of knowledge to the people by setting up those universities and learnings. And before, now why these traditions? So in Shia, scholars have always narrated ahadiths from the Imam, and it was a habit of the companions. It was always passed down. But unfortunately for rest of the Muslims, from the rule of Abu Bakr, and severely in Umar's time, it was severe punishment for people who would narrate anything. So the traditions of Prophet were to be not narrated, and hence why for a century there was nothing documented, and hence we see a lot of fabrications in lot of hadiths from lot of people such as Abu Huraira. So just briefly about Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, and we go towards Imam. And there are a few things that we can place to others. When people say, oh, Fadak did not belong, Umar bin Abdul Aziz, he did, and like I said, it was not his right to rule, but he ruled. But what he did was he started removing corruption from what has spread out before previous caliphs, and the other, like such as Walid and Suleiman and others. He also gave stipends for Hajj corruption. He did struggle for corruption. But the one thing that he did was he stopped the prohibition of cursing of Imam Ali alayhi salam. May Allah curse the people who cursed Imam Ali alayhi salam, for his right was the most right on the world to be the caliph. So what he did was, Umar bin Abdul Aziz, he stopped, when he became the caliph, he stopped the cursing of Imam Ali. And he put a halt on this disgraceful religious deviation which had been going. So people see, when we innovate new things in our religion, which we can't go back and check, and there are so many things that we have adopted in our religion which do not belong to Islam. And because we do not read, and I'm glad you guys are listening and understanding these things, we have to understand that once we discover the truth, it is the acceptance of the truth that is mandatory on us, for there would be no difference on us to the people of the pre-Islamic era. For that, they wanted to worship what their fathers have told them and taught them. So look, he removed all of this, and this was because of an effect of one teacher and in one moment, huge event that occurred in his time. So that one teacher, he had a one good teacher. So one time when Abdul Aziz, Umar bin Abdul Aziz was young, he was playing with kids, and even the kids used to curse Imam Ali as a game and others. And without knowing what the history was, his teacher was passing, he heard him. When he reached him, his teacher ignored him and continued to pray, and ignored him. And he realized that his teacher is angry and asked him, and he says, how can the people who took part in the battle of Badr and the pledge of Radwan become cursed people? And he apologized, he stopped it. And the other thing he noticed was when his father was the governor of Medina, when he used to give sermon and he was cursing Imam Ali, his tongue used to vary. And he said to his father one day, I noticed that when you're doing everything, the teachings and others, and you're very fluent, but as it times to come, as it been mandatory made by Muawiyah to curse Imam Ali, your tongue stutters and you're not fluent. And he said, oh, I'm glad you noticed it. For if the people, if they knew the virtues of Imam Ali or the household of Prophet Muhammad, they would be following them and not us as rulers. So this enabled, these two things enabled him to change, but his rules was short-lived. He ruled for only 2 years, and he also opened that the traditions be written down as before. So people thought, okay, it's gonna go good, but then after him came his uncle Yazid ibn Abdul Aziz, and he, even though promised to continue, but became a tyrant as all of them. He did return the Fadak. So he went to Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam and he said the Fadak is theirs and the Umayyad have no right over it. He did return the Fadak. So those who don't know what Fadak is, I've covered it in Bibi Fatma session. There was it was trees of dates, and it's like a big park, like a paradise land that was rich in soil and fruitation. It was taken over at the time of Abu Bakr. It was returned by. So the question here is, if why did this caliph return it where all other kept it? And he said it, return it, and after him they took it back. So there are things in history where we rest. You can put the question in the chat and I'll go to it or towards the end. So going forward came the rule of Hisham. And Hisham was the ruler after Yazid and towards the end of Imam Baqir's life. And this is a very interesting story. So he was one time Imam Baqir alayhi salam and Imam Jaffer Sadiq alayhi salam was doing a Hajj. Hisham was there. He heard the Imam say that, the right of the Imamat, the leadership, is with the family. He couldn't do anything. He forced Imam to come to Syria. When he visited Syria, at the time, the condition of the nation was so bad. They were so unknowledgeable. The only thing that he could challenge the Imam was that he said, I will force him to shot arrow in a shooting competition. Now focus and learn about the shooting competition, what he did. So he thought Imam is so old, and he know there were no scholars at that time that could challenge him, and it was famous that in the family of the Prophet is very knowledgeable, and Imam Baqir was among the learned one, as the people knew and the community knew. So he said at the same time, he said, oh, can you just shot an arrow? And he said, look, I am old. Imam said, I am old. I have nothing to do with it. But he then at the same time, he asked one of the notables of Umayyad, which means someone known to Umayyad in his castle. And he said, oh, give him a bow. And so the Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he reached out, he took the bow and he set an arrow in the string. And then he took aim and he released the arrow. So the arrow went bullseye. It went straight into the bullseye. He took a second arrow and then do it as if it's a scene of a movie and you're a cartoon, you're seeing it, but it has been well documented. So the second arrow pierced the first arrow that was there and split it and open and went into the bullseye. Then Imam shot the third, the fourth, the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and the ninth. And all of them went split after split after split after split into bullseye. And when everyone saw this scene, 9 arrows splitting each other on the bullseye, and everyone was affected by this, and they were amazed at the same time. And Hisham, he had miscalculated on all counts. He thought that he would make abuse the reputation of the Imam, and that because, and he said, oh look, they can't even fight, they can't even shoot an arrow. And he was so surprised. He then goes and says, amazing, Abu Jafar, you are the master of archers from amongst the Arabs and non-Arabs. He goes and says that. How was it that you said that you had become old? And then he looked, and he was so clumsified. He knew nothing. He just looked down for a few moments, not knowing what to tell. It was a scene of utter amazement for people. Imagine 9 arrows, bullseye, splitting one after the other. They didn't even went like this. They went breaking the first one into the second one, the second into the third. So what happened after that was, then he took Imam Bakr alayhi salam and his son, and he asked him to sit next to him. And he began to honor them and praise them in exceptional and unusual manner. And he said, oh, the Quraysh, due to the light of your existence, are worthy of being the masters among the Arabs and non-Arabs. Tell me who taught you this skill of archery, and how long did it take you to master it? So Imam Bakr responded, and he said, you know that the people of Medina practiced this art in the days of my youth, and I also spent some time, and I left it, but I accepted it unwillingly because you asked me. Imam didn't want to show off. He just misunderstood what an Imam is. He thought Imam just knew about religion and others, for he had forgotten how Imam Ali killed their forefathers in the Battle of Badr, Uhud, and all numerous battles. So Hisham said, oh, does your son Jaffer, which is Imam Jaffer Sadiq al-Islam, has the same level of proficiency in shooting? And Imam says, we the household are the perfection of the religion and the completion of the versing. And then Imam recited this verse from Surah Ma'idah, which is verse number 3. This day I have perfected for you your religion and completed my favor upon you, and have proved you Islam as my religion. So this perfection was about, and we're talking about, is the Imam. So now a couple of teachings about Imam Bakr alayhi salam, and so hopefully you guys can learn a few things in this. In Imam Bakr Sadiq alayhi Imam Bakr Sadiq Imam Bakr alayhi salam, Imam Muhammad Bakr alayhi salam said, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. My screen has changed and I keep on looking at different screens. So back to the front screen. A believer is the brother of another believer, as if from his own mother and father. So when you find someone who is a believer, a Shia, you have to, and he's honest and he's really a Shia, we have meeting the requirements, then you have to understand this hadith of the Imam. Do not take for idols brothers or companions, the fools, the miserly, the crowd, and the lie. So whenever we are picking someone as a brother, as a friend, as a Muslim, remember, do not pick someone who is a fool, who is acting cowardly, or someone who is a liar. Pick your friends, pick your companions based on what the Imam has told us, for it has an effect on you and your learning and your life in future, and lot of your things come across it. Allah means the one who is worshipped and whom people are too bewildered to comprehend his essence and fathom his identity. Now, what it is saying, Allah is someone we can understand the first part of the hadith. Everyone can, that we have to worship. What the Imam is saying is that Allah is someone who we cannot comprehend. We cannot, because we try to think everything from our view of what we have seen in this world. Oh, should he have a place, a house, hands, body, legs? Allah is above all of these things. And he said, do not try to do all of this. And people, even if to try to do it, they just can't do it. So it is an important hadith for us to know. So Imam Bakr Sadiq alayhi salam, Imam Muhammad Bakr alayhi salam said, excuse me for the ignorance, Islam is based on 5 prayers: alms, fasting, the Hajj, and the divine guardianship. Now, this hadith is important, that Imam multiple times called out the Imamat. that it is important that you're doing your prayers, you're doing your charity, you're doing the fast, you're doing the Hajj. But if you're missing Imamat, which is the Imam of your time, Imam of our time is Imam Mehdi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad, the savior of us. The Imam said, do a loud salawat and I'll have some water.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم.
If the Imam was to ever be removed from the earth, now so understand this. If the Imam was to ever be removed from the earth, for an instant, the whole earth would tremble its inhabitants the way the ocean trembles with those who are on it. Allah did not send anyone before he created a caliph. So Allah told the angels, I am creating a caliph on earth. I am. He did not say it for you, he said it for all time. So whoever reads that ayah, know that it is for us for all time. So Allah first created a caliph and then sent it the first person, and the first person was the caliph along with his wife. So Allah never said, you can't consider your Lord to do such injustice that there is sent someone and there is no guardianship, there is no one to guide. So he sent it a hadi. So we have to remember the concept going forward. I'm just going to move the slide. Next one. Imam said, Allah blessed and Most High said, I will certainly punish every Muslim community who accepted the leaders of a tyrant, leader who is not chosen by Allah. Now remember, for people, that it is the rightful right of Allah when we decide to make someone else our leader or an Imam, other than the Imam that Allah has assigned to us, we have done great unjust. We have gone over the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is his right and he will punish it. And it is written in the Quran. There is an ayah saying it. It's just that we become ignorant. So we have to remember, what did Allah said? He will punish the people who accepted someone else as the rightful leader. And after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the rightful leader was Imam Ali alayhi salam, and after him his son Imam Hassan, after him Imam Hussain alayhi salam, after Imam Hussain it was Imam Zainul Abidin, and after him it was Imam Bakr alayhi salam. So Allah blessed and Most High said, I will certainly punish every Muslim community. I've done this one. This was just duplicated. So the believer is harder than a mountain, for the mountain is dispensable, whereas nothing can be taken away from his religion. So see, we have to be like a mountain. You know, if we can't just trick that if someone is playing music and doing a party and we know music is haram, and then we just go, oh, some family members are doing a party and there is music and dancing, let's just do it, or because what can we do? They are our family members. No, be like a mountain, because we are believers. What we know is truth is truth. If we know the truth is that we can't eat unhalal food, as an example, we can't eat pork, we can't eat chicken, beef, lamb that is not cut in the name of the Allah, there is no excuse. For a believer will not change just for, there are conditions when you're dying and you have nothing and you are in a desert and you have no choice. Those conditions are separate. So I don't want anyone presenting those conditions, but remember, try to be hard, try to have a good understanding. If you don't understand something in your religion, ask your parents, ask people who are learned among scholars, ask them and understand. For this religion has logic that Imam have provided us, and everything can be explained. And then when you accept it, do not move, be the mountain, anchor yourself. If the mountain moves, the earth will start cracking and quacking. Does everyone know that? So Imam Bakr alayhi salam said, every eye will cry on the day of judgment except for three. So who are those three eyes that will not cry on the day of the judgment? An eye that stayed up in worship for the sake of Allah, an eye that filled with tears out of fear of Allah, and an eye that looked away from things prohibited by Allah. So if there is music, we look away. If there is something else that we shouldn't be looking at it, we should be looked away. But I want everyone to listen for a few seconds and ask yourself, when have we filled our eyes with tears out of the fear of Allah? Parents listening there, kids listening there, for a moment think, yes, we go and cry for Imam Hussein and we cry, but when have we done a prayer, one rakat, one line of Quran, and when was the last time or ever in our life we cried out of fear of Allah? We were trying to communicate with Allah. We need to be in that state, for Allah will bring His blessing upon us. And try to think, when you finish your namaz, 2 minutes of namaz, spend some time, try to just think about Allah and try and hard, and then you will have that connection and your tears will flow. I can assure you that. Imam said, the more faith a servant attains, the harder his life becomes. Now, remember, the more higher your level we are going up, the more harder the life becomes. It is for us not to judge the other person. We can't just say, oh, that person is living a luxurious life. How can he be? Or someone is in an abstain or bad life. How can he? That means definitely he's more faithful than. No, we don't. These are conditions separate, but we have to understand for ourselves. This is not for us to judge other people and come to a conclusion. It is for us to know that if you are starting and worshipping and building connections with Allah, you may be tested. And then it may be hard. Verily, the believer is tested according to the level of his faith. So people like Miqdad, Ammar, they were martyred in horrific ways because their level of faith was above all. By Allah, none will be safe from his sin except the one who admits it. So it's better when we do a mistake, we have to admit it, and we have to ask, and not admit to everyone go around. No, admit it to Allah and ask for forgiveness and ask him to give you the power to stop you from doing and repeating those mistakes. Allah wants but two traits to be present in people, and that is to acknowledge his favors that he may increase them. So when Allah gives you something, always just, when you have something, just say, we often fall short. We don't say shukr alhamdulillah in your heart, not to tell other people, not to show. Be thankful. If you have a house, if you have a room, if you're getting food, you just have to thank on everything, but thank because you're thanking Allah, not to show it to anyone. In your heart, if you've done a mistake, ask Allah to forgive you and guide you. Okay, going forward. The worst expression of grief is screaming and wailing. So what Imam said to us, if someone cries aloud, beats his face and chest, and he's tearing one's hair, and a man who takes up wailing as a man who has abundant patience. We should be patient. Be patient. That is what the Imam is teaching us. Okay. Now, this is something that we have to learn as part of the manners, and we're coming towards the end, is when we enter someone's house, some brother or someone invited us, and he asks us, hey, sit here. Can you please sit here? And we say, no, we are sitting here. We're comfortable. This is a great place for us. No, what did the Imam say? The Imam says, because the owner of a house knows its privacy, he knows that there are women in my family, my daughters, my sisters, someone will pass from here, and this is not a good position for you, and you're pointing towards them. So next time when we go to someone's house and someone asks us to sit over here, we should sit there because they know their house better. So the last saying, good and evil are given double the requital on Friday. So if you do good, it's double reward. And if you do bad things, double sin. For that, the charity given on Friday is considered double. So because of superiority. Now, see, these learnings from Imams are not just, okay, yeah, charities. No, we can implement them. Now you know that if you give charity on Friday, it is doubled. But if you do this, that I know that charity is double, not to show off, but say, I know from the Imam that charity is double. And if you do it over Fridays, you're doubling your reward. You're being smart. If you read Surah Tawheed every day, you're reciting the whole Quran with the intention that that's what the Prophet told me. If you're sleeping while in wudu, we will be rewarded for as if we worship whole night. These are the things that Imam, you can consider them the shortcuts the Imam has given to you. Implement them so it's easier for you. Okay, so now couple of stories, short stories from Imam, and it's the end. So this is from Tabarri Imami. He's narrated through his chains of authorities, and it is from a person named Marra bin Qubaisa bin Abdul Hamid. And that he said that Jabir bin Yazid Jofi, and I told you the name of the companions of Imam Bakr alayhi salam at the start. So he was a companion of, he said, I saw Imam, my Lord, my master. What he did was he made an elephant out of mud and clay, and he mounted on it, and it rose up into the air. It became real in it, and it flew and brought him to and took him to Makkah and brought him back to Medina. So he said when he heard this, like a lot of other disbelievers, he says, oh, I did not accept this tradition. He said, oh, it's just like, oh, he's just lying. It is an open lie. But after some time, he met Imam Bakr alayhi salam, and he said, oh, I heard this from Jaffer Jofi that he said about this. And he said, what's so astonishing about it? What's so astonishing about it? He said, then he made an elephant of sand before him and mounted and made me mount as well. And the elephant rose up in the air and took up to Makkah. Now, why I am telling this story? The Imams have been given the ism of Allah, and they have. Indeed, the Quran mentions the stories about Prophet Ibrahim and Jesus. And so it should not be a surprise to anyone if Imam can do this. Now, apple from a rock. So this is a very interesting story. So Jabir Jofi again, he narrated that he was traveling to Hira in the company of Imam Bakr alayhi salam. And when he reached Karbala, the Imam said, now this is about Karbala and we've heard it, that Jabir, this land is one of the gardens of paradise for us and our Shia, and one of the ditches of hell of our enemies. So we have heard this tradition that the land of Karbala is the garden of paradise for the Shias, not for everyone, and one of the ditches of hell for our enemies. So indeed, there are some people ask, oh, but what about all the evil armies that fought against the Imam and they were killed and they are buried there? What about the non-believers? So everyone is in Jannah? No, it is ditches of hell for those enemies. It is only a paradise for our Shias. Then he looked at Jabir, and what he did was he said, Jabir, would you like to eat something? And he was like, yes, my lord. He said, yes. And so the Imam took his hand, he put it into the rock, and from the rock, he bought an apple out. And when he gave it to Jabir. When he smelled that apple, he said, I have never ever perceived such a fragrance. And told me that this apple, the Imam told him that this apple was from paradise. Thus, after he consumed the apple, he did not require food for the next 40 days. On this earth, he ate an apple from paradise, and for 40 days, he did not need any food. And neither the condition that people will be eating everything and there will be nothing required, he did not also had to go to the washroom after it as well. So, another short story was about a wolf. So this is from another companion, Muhammad bin Muslim. He was also listed in there. He traveled to Makkah in the company of the Imam, and he said Muhammad bin Muslim was on a donkey, and Imam had his own ride, and he suddenly heard a wolf cry, right, rushing towards from the top of the hill. The wolf came running. So if you're there and you're seeing a wolf coming towards you, you'll be like, what? But he knew Imam, so he stood there, and Imam noticed that the wolf stopped, and he came and he put his paw on the saddle of the Imam, and he said something and started communicating with the Imam. So Imam bent down and heard him what he said, and then Imam replied, I have done that, you may go back now. So the wolf ran away after that. And after that, what did Muhammad bin Muslim say? As if we are curious, we will be asked, Mullah, today I witnessed a great miracle of divine power. So he saw that the wolf is communicating, but he said, the Imam said, do you know what did he convey? What did he ask? And he said, the God, the messenger, and the son of messenger know better. Which is the Imam? You know better, the messenger know better, and Allah knows better. He said that he told me that his wife, he was the female, and was having a difficult childbirth. So would I please pray to God for a safe delivery, and also that God does not make any wolf attack my Shia. That's what the wolf asked. So I pray, and as per her request. Now remember, I say we just can't call ourselves Shia, and they say, oh, that person called Shia. You have to be a Shia, that Imam accept you as a Shia. Remember the story that an Imam is an Imam. The why I'm bringing animals is so that you're certain that Imam is for all. He is an Imam for all creation, not just on planet Earth. No, for all. It is an Imam. He is the chosen one. Allah has chosen him. So the last small one, knowing the hidden thoughts. And someone came to the Imam, and the Imam knows about hidden thoughts. I'll just summarize it. And people comes and tell us that about the Shias, and the Imam says where he sees his Shia recognize him. So he said, yes, I know the sign of a Shia. The Imam said, I would so when those people that came to ask him, he told him about their names, their father's names, and then he gave them the details of genealogy and other things. But then the Imam said, oh, you came here with the intention of inquiring from me about the following verse. And he said, have you not considered how Allah presents an example, making a good word like a good tree whose root is firmly fixed and its branches high in the sky? So they did not ask the question. Imam told them that you came here to ask this question actually. And they say, oh, yeah, right. They exclaimed, yes, we want to know the interpretation of this verse. So the interpretation, so Imam said, listen, so Imam told him, look, we are that tree whose roots run deep, and we are strong, and whose branch reach to the sky. So within the earth, the roots, if a tree has strong roots in it, won't fall. The tree who are big but have weaker roots, they fall when the heavy winds blow. And then it is such high that it reaches the sky. And he said, Imam, are you satisfied with this? And he said, yes, we are satisfied with him. But Imam knew before he asked. So if your Imam comes and visit you, he will know what your thoughts are. Be careful, protect your mind from bad things. Strive, and it's normal, bad things come to our mind, but what we have to do is we have to repel them. May Allah curse the shaitan and his aiders and abettors. We should try and protect ourselves, and it's not something you can't stop it. It won't just stop and nothing will happen. No, it's normal, things happen, but try and stop them. That's the point of it. Try to control your hidden thoughts, for once you control your hidden thoughts, you will then be able to do better worship of Allah. So the last one for the day is a strange miracle, and I have written it. It says invisible Imam Baqir. So Abu Basir, who was also a companion, says, I entered the masjid along with Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. When people were entering and leaving the place, Imam asked, he said, ask these people who are entering and leaving whether they can see me. He said, ask them, can they see me? So he said, so he started stopping people. Hey, can you see, have you seen Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam? And they said, in the next, no, we haven't. No, even though the Imam was next to him, he kept on asking everyone, said, no. And just then he approached a blind companion of the Imam, and his name was Abu Harun. He arrived and he asked him. Imam said, go and ask Abu Harun as well. Now he did not say, but Imam, he is blind. When there are people here who are not blind, they can't see you. What's the point of me going and asking Abu Harun who's blind? No, when an Imam asks you something, we do it. We do not question, for he knows better. So don't be those guys who have come and claimed to the Imam that we will help you, will do it. When Imam asks them to do something, they're just questioning the Imam. No, it is not our right to question the Imam. So when he said, ask him, he asked him, he said, he's standing right there. And then he was amazed, and he said, how did you know? And he said, he is a shining light. How can I know? How can I not know where he is? See, he was a blind man, but he could see the shining light, and he was able to see the Imam. So though at the end, Imam Bakr alayhi salam was martyred by poisoning in the air, 114 Hijri. He died at the age of 57, the same age as his father, and he's buried next to his father in Jannatul Baqi in Medina. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. May Allah curse the killers and abettors of all the Imams, and especially for today, Imam Bakr alayhi salam. So that's the end. Here comes the timeline, and that's the timeline. Obviously, he has one of the children we know is Imam Jaffer, but the other children were Abdullah, Ibrahim, Ubaidullah, Ali, Zainab, and Salman. And Imam was also known for a lot of debates. I have not covered them just to make it short, but may Allah accept our prayers. And remember, all of this is for us to understand the Imam of our time. Allahumma sallallahu Muhammadan wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum. We'll be taking questions now and the quiz, inshallah.
Thank you, Brother Musajab. So the quiz will be on the screen. Do let me know when you can see that, and you can start answering the questions. I will be just checking the answers. In the meantime, you can raise your hand, and in like after 2 minutes time, once we have the answers, you can start asking question. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take the question of us, whoever is raising the hand right now, and other people can start doing the quiz.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah, Kian, yes. Kian, do you want to go ahead and ask?
Yes. Why do some imams or some people have like a lot of titles? Like Imam Baqir alayhi salam.
So, very good question. Very good question. And now remember, it's if Imam, for example, for the last Imam that we covered, which was Imam Zainul Abidin, he was Imam Sajjad, he was the supreme worshipper. That doesn't mean all other Imams were not. It is, some titles are given based on, so for example, the sixth Imam is known as Imam Jaffer Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Bakr is known as Imam, his name was Muhammad and his name is Bakr Lulum, which means he had the knowledge of the things that he parted in. So, and Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam is known as Sadiq, the truthful. That doesn't mean all the other Imams were not truth, but at that time it was common. So why these titles were given? For as an example, at the time of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, there were a couple of other students, like we hear now, like other people, other Muslim sects consider them as their Imams. Now, how if everyone in the society accepted him and know him as the title of a Sadiq, the truthful one, yet the Muslim go ahead and listen to someone else? So his title was represented, everyone's accepting him, that the title, all of the titles are for all of the Imams, but they were, let's say, strategically given at a time by the people themselves. That is the divine wish of Allah, so that people can have guidance. So if I do not know anything, some of your friend may know nothing, and they go and read it and they will say, hey, there's a guy in history called Bakr al-Ulum, and there's a guy in history called Jafar Sadiq, and they are the truthful, but everyone's listening to everyone else, but they're accepting they are the truthful. So for example, you're saying you are the perfect, you never lie to a person, but you go and listen to a liar. So whose fault is it? So those names are given to distinguish some of the characteristics of that time that were essential. But all titles are for all Imams, and they were so to exist. Okay, does that answer? All right. So next one, yes. Zafir.
Yeah, Zafir, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. So why don't we exhume the imams from their graves?
Why don't we what? Sorry.
Why don't we dig out the people of the Imams from their graves?
Why don't we dig out? You mean the people that are next to the Imam?
No, the people like the Imam.
Why would we dig? So do we dig out people that have died? That's eh, is are you talking about digging out and taking the Imam out?
You know, to see them or something.
Yeah, but well, okay, now right. So